All right, this is a new SEC podcast, and we're back. We're talking Kentucky, traveling to Athens to take on UGA, them dogs. Line right now is 20.5. The over-under is 48.5. 12 p.m. ABC. Both teams coming off the loss. What should we expect in this game?
If I'm Kentucky, I don't want to play Georgia after a loss. Like, that's a hard spot to be in because you know that they're going to be fired up. They feel like, we ended this winning streak at home. We're back here. Fans will come out. I think that Georgia, from the fan perspective, they want to see Georgia lay the lumber on Kentucky this weekend. Get back to full form before you go play some harder teams. No shade to Kentucky. 20-point spread for good reason. Right now, Kentucky's struggling a little bit. Georgia wants this one to be big because you need to get back after a loss for sure.
Yeah, the 20-point spread says a lot. I mean, the over-under 48.5 makes me think like Vegas is expecting a blowout where Georgia's offense is resurging in this game. Kentucky's offense to this point has been kind of struggling this season, and that's kind of been the theme for them. But this game to me is more about what Georgia team do we see coming off of the game last week. Didn't see as much in the air as we would have liked. This Georgia rushing offense is still really impressive. And it's an opportunity for them to really show the country that they still are a top 15 team at minimum.
Yeah. And I think that that's exactly spot on. Like, this is their chance to show it. They did good things against Alabama at times. Like, they had a hard time putting points on the board at points. The running was great, especially outside the tackles. So I'm sure we'll see more of that. See Gunnar Stockton get involved. A lot of their plays, we talked about this on our recap, were big yardage plays, like not necessarily chunk plays, but they, multiple runs over 20 yards, deep passes. Everything else was pretty spotty. So I think in this one, assuming that you get out to a lead and assuming it looks better than the Kentucky Georgia game last year, that you work on some of those things, work on the intermediate pass with Gunnar Stockton, getting the receivers involved. So I do think that this is a game for them to work on some of the stuff before they get to deeper stuff in their schedule. Now, they could be, I told you this before, they could be 2-2 right now. They're a field goal away from Tennessee, from this being a 2-2 Georgia team looking down the barrel of not making the playoffs. So, they didn't have the best performance against Alabama. They did okay against Tennessee offensively. The defense then stepped up second half of Alabama. So I think it's just putting all of the pieces together for one full game. And this will be the one to do it.
Quick break. Want to talk about our new partnership with Backer. Backer produces collegiate apparel for the true devoted fan. Backer wanted to ultimately create products that were quality, could last a long time, and you could wear in the mountains, rainy games, sunny games. They produce hats, outerwear, jackets, hoodies, and they're partnered with some of the best teams in the college football space right now. They have Georgia apparel, Texas apparel, and even better, 10% of the proceeds for each purchase go to the student athletes. If you're interested in learning more about their products, hit that link in the bio. And once again, thank you for tuning into our content. This will definitely be the one to do it. And they could be 2-2. And if they were, I don't think it says that much about this Georgia team. I think it says more about the depth of the SEC right now. Like, when I look at the SEC, I'm thinking Tennessee's a legit team. Missouri's legit. Bama's legit. Georgia's still in championship contention. Oklahoma's still in championship contention. LSU's a wild card. And I haven't even mentioned Ole Miss and Texas A&M. So the 2-2 notion, I understand it, but it doesn't really say that much for me when I think about the Georgia team.
No, I mean, you have a lot, though, ahead of you. It's good they're not in that position if you are Georgia, because you do have Ole Miss. You got Georgia Tech. I don't even really know what to expect when they go to Starkville in November, because Mississippi State's doing pretty well too. So the things that they need in this game, and we can talk a bit about Georgia defenses, in this game, one of Kentucky's only strong points right now, Seth McGowan, running back, he's adding a lot to this offense that Georgia, I was impressed in the Alabama game at their run stop, especially in the middle. I think that's something that they'll bring into this game and be able to develop upon, is stopping a good running back. So I want to see that from Georgia in this game, is not allowing Kentucky to do anything offensively in the run game.
Yeah. And I think, what I'd like to see from Georgia in this game, I expect them to establish the run. I want to see more of a consistent runner. Like we obviously we nominated Chauncey Bowens last week for the running back position for our team of the week. I want to see more from Josh McCray. I want to see more from these other running backs on the team because right now they're top 6 in the conference when it comes to rushing yards per game, over 200 yards. Kentucky is 13th in the conference, giving up 147 rushing yards. So the matchup running back wise versus to Kentucky rushing defense should be easy. You lock that down. Now use your receivers, outskill Kentucky's defense with Zachariah Branch, with Noah Thomas, with Colby Young. He's 6'3". Throw the balls up in the air to him. That's going to put Georgia in the best spot to win. But there's a team on the other side here, right? Like, what does Kentucky need to do in this game to bounce back to win? Because it feels like forever ago, but Kentucky almost pulled off the upset last year at Kroger Field.
Yeah. They're struggling to move the chains this year, honestly. Like, that's where last year they were putting themselves in third and manageable. Here they're really struggling to move the chains. They're bottom 10 in the country for plays over 10 yards. They're tied with Army, San Diego State, Troy. They're the only P4 teams in their ballpark is UNC and Florida for teams that can't make plays over 10 yards. That's kind of been the issue here. And I don't know if it's the O-line not giving the quarterback enough time. They've switched out quarterbacks now at this point in the season. The running backs are doing okay. But again, you're not giving yourself any sort of explosiveness. So in this game, I think Kentucky needs to work on moving the chains, getting the receivers into positions to catch, 9, 10, 8-yard passes and let them make plays after the catch. The same story we told about Kentucky last year. So I think that there's an opportunity for them because Alabama, now it's no Ty Simpson, it's no Alabama O-line. They were able to attack that intermediate mid-range zone. So Kentucky may be able to find some soft spots there like Alabama did. That's a long shot and a stretch, but there's opportunity.
There's definitely some opportunity there. And this Kentucky defense, fought the hardest fight they could have fought in that game against South Carolina. The scoreboard doesn't really fully indicate how much this Kentucky defense tried to keep the Kentucky team in the game, right? I think they gave up 2 or 3 touchdowns from the South Carolina defense that kind of inflated that score. So Kentucky's defense, if they can continue to perform at this level, it's not saying it's championship level, but it's making this team somewhat competitive. The offense, to your point, has to show up. Cutter Boley's looked significantly better than Zach Calzada, but that's not saying that much per se. So in his now third start or second start of the season, good opportunity to kind of work this Georgia defense that has kind of shown a bend, don't break. The Georgia defense looked a lot better in the second half in that Alabama game, but Kirby's known for his second half adjustments. If Georgia's defense shows up in the first half, I don't think this is a game, to be honest. And I think that's kind of what Vegas is indicating here.
I don't think, I'm with you. I don't expect it to get too far beyond the spread. Now, you're looking at the betting notes for these teams. Georgia 0-4 against the spread on the season. Kentucky 1-3 against the spread. These are teams who have not been covering. Georgia, in closer games than they needed to have with some teams, Austin PA being one, Tennessee being another, closer than they expected them to be going into it on the Vegas side. So, looking at the call that I have for this game, I think Georgia wins. I think it's 31-9. I think they're right there covering. I expect them to win this game, take the air out of the ball, run it, work on things that they need to work on for the rest of the season. But I do have Georgia winning this game and Kentucky having a hard time putting it in the end zone.
Yeah, and I mean, when you look at those betting notes and you think about this game and how these two teams have looked so far this season, I ultimately have Kentucky losing this game 35-10, so Georgia taking the win here. And it begs a bigger question. We go into every season with Kentucky not expecting to win these type of games. And so I'd be curious if a loss is the result, what is the conversation look like from a coaching perspective going forward? Just my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, they have candidates out there that there's going to be a coaching carousel at the end of the season. We've already seen Arkansas now relieve their head coach. I would be extremely shocked if something doesn't happen with the Florida head coaching situation by the end of the season. You'll probably have one here, I would imagine. Just at some point, you got to cut ties and work on something different because, like you said, it's been a year-over-year thing for the past, I want to say 3 years, that it's just been a decline. They find themselves winning a important game like the Ole Miss one last year. It could be a game in this season. I just don't expect it to be this one. So I wonder what you do with the head coaching situation. I don't think that this will be the game to pull that lever or have that decision be made.
And I'm not saying that's going to be the case either. And we'll see how the game plays out, right? But that's my prediction. Hunter's dropped his prediction. We want to know what y'all think here in the comments. Does Kentucky have a chance in this game? What do you want to see from Georgia in this game? Of course, with their championship aspirations. And it's not doom and gloom for either team, of course, but let us know what you think. And as always, like, follow, subscribe. I'm Randall Jr. We've got Hunter Ziesman. This is the new SEC Podcast.